Welcome into the Mental Moments podcast with your guide, Healing Hottie. Mental Moments is where we walk through life experiences, yours and mine, finding the ingredients to make life sweeter, a conversation to consider our minds, bodies, and soul, moving with gratitude one step at a time. Rest is an essential part of our well-being, but often the most neglected part of our lives. Today, we're talking about the importance of rest and different ways to rest. Let's walk through this together. Welcome in. Welcome in. How are we feeling? I'm feeling really good today. And I hope you are too. Mental Moments is a conversation, honey. And today we are talking all about rest. Rest. We all need it. We all desire it. But how do we truly put ourselves into the position where we rest, where we're well, when we have such a busy life? And rest can look different for everyone, but we're going to get all into that today. So let's jump in. As a woman, especially as a Black woman, rest can feel hard to come by. There are so many layers and factors and things happening in the world, in our lives, societal and norms that really lead us to defer what we need the most at our basic level as human beings. Rest. We will make excuses that, we have this important deadline due. I'm so behind in my work. My kids are calling my name. My husband needs me. I'm missing out on something. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. All these things can lead us to defer rest. A few years ago, I was working for a tech company. It was, I say a few years ago, it was almost a decade, more than a decade ago, that I started with that company. But it was a startup, and it was trying to figure out who it was in the midst of all the things. That's what a startup does. And when you get in those environments where it's unsure and you're unsure of yourself, you tend to fall in line. You tend to do what everybody else is doing. And so I did that for many years with them. And I ended up working in a few different departments. I had primarily been on predominantly women-led and employee staffed teams. But I then found myself towards the end of my time there where I was on all male team. I was the only woman. It didn't intimidate me at first, but one of the requirements of the job was to be on call. You know, sometimes in theory, when you are in a role or a job, everything seems smooth-ish in the interview. You know, it doesn't paint the full picture, but long story long on that is that not too long into like the first few weeks of the job, I was tethered to that desk. I wouldn't take my lunch away because there was so much going on systemically within the company from a technical perspective with our operation system. There's a lot going on. Many nights you'd be woken up out of the sleep and having to wake other people up out of their sleep to, handle and resolve issues for clients. And it was a lot to handle. And so on top of that, this was around the time when I was married, and he didn't rest a lot either. Like, he would be up very early and sometimes would go to sleep late because he was working on many things. With that being like my environment, I've talked previously of my childhood and what that was like growing up. Rest seemed just very much not important, even though my body was very much like, girl, we need rest. And so there would just be times where I would find myself just taking many like little small naps throughout the day because I was not getting enough rest. Now, fast forward, all these years pass, and now I'm where I am, and there are so many needs and demands of the clients that I have. I remember when I started this business, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to have to put rest to the side. That was like one of the first things I said out of my mouth. Even before that, when I had the shea butter line and I had the rental property, I was just like, yeah, rest can wait, which is like crazy to think about it now. It's like, girl, what? Why is that the first thing that had to go? Not time management, but we'll get into that. Just like then when I worked for that company, and just like now, there are times where I just hit a wall. Right before my birthday this year, like I had reached my limit because rest was just too far in the distance. And honestly, it's something that I had to pray on, because I was just like, why would I let that flow out of my mouth to profess that I did not need to prioritize rest? My mindset is not ununique, right? A lot of times when we have all of these things on our plate and in front of us, we think about what doesn't need to be here, what can wait kind of thing, which, okay. But why is it that we're throwing out the life jackets first? Like, rest is really meant to sustain us and hold us. And it's not even a just in case sort of thing. It has to be there, like the oars to this rowboat, if you will. It was truly one of those things where I was like, yeah, I don't need to rest, even though I really did. The other thing is that when we are in spaces where we are so busy in all of the things, needing rest, needing a moment, needing respite can feel like weakness. It can feel like you don't have the endurance to keep going. You don't have the ability to just kind of push through this frustrating thing. That gets unhealthy real fast. And even when I think back to that startup job, there was a coworker. He was like working over, like he was just double timing it. I was doing like 3 to 5 other jobs within that company that weren't a part of my job description. He was doing like 12. Okay. How he was able to like keep going, I do not know. And when we see people in their endurance and how they're able to keep moving and keep going and handling all these things, we suddenly feel like we have to measure up. But one of the things that I will applaud myself on in that moment is that I would tell leadership that I am not going to do that. I'm not them. I don't have that same capacity. My life looks different. And so I'm not even going to try to emulate that kind of thing, because that should not be the standard for success, that I have to do X number of times over what is required of me in order to say, yes, you're doing amazing. That just can't be the case. But that's not untrue for a lot of people, that there are these expectations, especially from, myself as a woman, as a Black woman, that we have to be twice as good. But I don't even think that's a fair metric anymore. We got to be 4 or 5 times as good as our counterparts. We have to go increasingly hard. I tend to be a very quiet, reserved person. There are a lot of things that I don't do. And so I kind of look outside of like the norm, right? Especially for the city that I live in. Like, it's just expected. Yeah, you go out and you drink and you do all these things, and then you keep going, and then you like, everybody's outside and they're always active, and they're always active on social media and all this. That's not me. But because other people are doing that, in moments where you do have a moment to rest, you're doom scrolling. When you do have a moment to rest, you're seeing what are they talking about on Threads, and what gossip and what happened, who upset who, and all those things. And so those little moments where we do have a space of peace, we're not allowing ourselves to be, because we don't feel comfortable or safe or like we've deserved to rest. And so I hit a wall right before my birthday, and I was just like, if I keep going like this, I'm not. And so it started off a little bit of like, I'm just gonna rest sort of energy, where I would go to bed pretty early. I'd be in bed no later than like 10:30, which even that really like more 9:30-ish. And I would start my days early, but even that was a little bit of a negotiation. And I say that to say that even when we seek out rest, because of those sort of societal unhealthy norms, we negotiate on rest. We consider other people's needs before we rest, right? So I hit this wall and I said, it's got to look different. I have to, and not in a bitter sense. I just have to say, okay, my day is done. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to see it through. And there are some days where I do have to like push a little bit longer, but that can't be the norm every day. Because if that's the norm every day, all the time, yes, I succeed, but like, am I well? That is the question that often gets answered after we have real rest. And so what is real rest? Outside of sleep, it is truly a space where we have to relieve, reset, and be restored, right? It is a space, I said relieve, but really release. Like there is so much stress and tension, and you hold your shoulders up high, your back hurts, and you're tense all the time because you're trying to anticipate all these things. But when you're able to rest, it gives you a space to just kind of release that physical, mental, spiritual tension. And so it can look like sleep. It can look like prayer. It can look like journaling. It can look like sitting in your car in a park. It can look like sitting in a park for a little while. It's truly a space of just being present without trying to stack on all these actions and expectations, right? That's the release, relieve, the reset. Oftentimes, like we'll rest with the intention to get ready to do something, to anticipate something, but I think we have to start to look at rest as, I just want to be well. Can I reset in an intention of being whole and well? That's it. Like at the core, am I breathing well? Am I taking deep breaths? Am I drinking enough water? Had I had enough water for the day? Let me take a moment to just hydrate. Let me take a moment to just put my feet up. Some people are standing. They have jobs and lives that require them to be on their feet all the time. Have you sat down today? Right? It's truly like, what will give us the space? Because it's a lot of times sleep will do that, but that's not the only space that you can get rest. Sometimes it looks like, I haven't seen my girls in a little bit, and I need like a good girls' night where I'm laughing. And again, that's that release and reset of like, man, like it helps to now move into this space of restoration where you can restore. You can continue to like replenish those connections, right? Within yourself, with others, with all those things. But again, and I'm not saying a girls' night to like plan and do a bunch of things, but I'm saying like really like just exist in the world. I know if you're like me, you don't prioritize those things because there's so many other demands. And so fortunately, and some of you might say unfortunately, in order to achieve real rest, you're going to have to start to push back on those norms. My clients they often thank me a whole lot for my ability to endure and keep going in the midst of changes and my availability. And that also looks like I tell them I'm not available today, or I'm taking a break, or I'm going to step away, or hey, I know we're working on this thing. Let's eat. Let's not get so enthralled in the doing that we forget to just be and be well. I know that that's a huge barrier that I'm going to continue to work through and overcome. I often have struggled with taking longer breaks, right? I've got some vacations that I plan are coming up no matter what. I'm not going to cancel or defer or say, well, I could be working. No. Take the time. Even when it doesn't feel like a good time. Take a nap. Take space, because if you don't, your body will take space. And I think that we don't take that as seriously as we should, that we are made to rest. As much as we are made to do, we are made to rest. And God even rested. Okay. He rested. You can rest. You can rest. And it's going to be okay. And truly, hear me, life should not be taking us, but we should be living life. We should be in a sense and a space where we are able to be present and we are able to do things that don't deplete us and diminish us to nothing. There are a lot of our health issues, not only due to the way that we eat, what we're consuming, how we spend our time, but the lack of rest. And if you're constantly consuming, even after this episode, go take a nap. Go sit still. Even if you want to just listen to this in the background, like give your body, your brain, your soul, give your just a time of just reprieve. We don't have to be on and going all the time. There's no way. We're not made to be that way. And I really hope that this encourages you as much as it continues to remain a reminder to me that we all need rest. There's nothing wrong with that. And it will not be the end of the world if you rest. And even if you did, even if it was the end of the world, it's not going to matter anyway. Okay? It's just not. That's the beautiful part of all of it. If you stop all these things, just take a 5-minute beat, even for my parents out there, get yourself in a space where you have rest. Prioritize rest. Even if you can't get it right now, keep it in your mind that this is a priority in order for me to be well.
Remember, this is a conversation, so make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Mental Moments and Healing Hottie so we can keep this conversation going. I pray what took me 12 steps takes you 3. Keep building a life you will be proud of, no matter how long it takes. Until next time.